have a very raucous crowd, so thank you. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up on our agenda are our recognitions.
All right. Good evening, board and community. I am doing my worst Ed Rich impression to call up some amazing families and community partners to recognize them for their contribution to the Maplewood Richmond School District. I'm going to go through each of the 3 awards, and after each one, we'll stop and do a photo with our board, and it'll be exciting. Are you ready for this? Yes, there we go. That's it. That's the vibe we're looking for tonight. All right, we're going to start out with the Richardsons, the Richardson family. That's right. Come on over, friends. Come on down. All right, come on over here. Come on over here. All right, we're going to recognize them as the Family of the Year. All right, part of their recognition before I run over and get photos, the Richardson family has been name has become synonymous with successful tax and bond measure that our school district for many, many years. But their dedication to MRH goes far beyond that. Their journey began in MRH in 2002 when a former neighbor introduced them to the district. Fast forward to there, their son Alec is a freshman and a member of the esports team. Their daughter Ella, not able to be here tonight, is a senior and a member of the thespian troupe. Ella will be attending Millikan University this fall. Along the way, Craig and Sandra have left their imprints all across the district. Craig has coached MRH youth sports, both baseball and soccer, served as a voter canvasser for many campaigns, and as Sandy is quick to point out, volunteered behind the scenes, caring for the kids while she was active at the PTO. Sandra was a PTO member for 12 years, taking a wide variety of roles and projects. She served on the calendar committee for 9 years. We need you back. Come on. She has stood at the polls and canvassed for many Board of Education candidates over the years, and she has been the development contractor for Joe's Place since 2017, helping the JP board raise more than $700,000. As leaders of the Keep MRH Strong Political Action Committee, Craig and Sandra have opened their hearts and their home time and time again, all in the name of providing the best possible learning environments for MRH students. Sandra has served as the PAC president since 2015. She has co-chaired 3 campaigns and, of course, chaired the amazingly successful campaign to pass Prop B&E last month. Craig and Sandra dedicate this recognition to the MRH teachers, the ECC, the late Ann Graham, and the late Mamie Lane. Shout out to the Richardsons. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Wonderful. Give one more round of applause. Next, I'd like to bring your attention to Bayhan Springborn, the chicken steward. Bayhan is MRHE Citizen of the Year. Turning now to her Citizen of the Year, I want to share an excerpt from the nomination form as we honor Ms. Bayhan Springborn, our long-serving MRH Elementary School chicken steward. These are the words of our seed-to-table instructor, Almut Marino. Here she is. Bayhan has been our volunteer head chicken steward for more than 5 years. She lives nearby, and she checks on the chickens twice each day. She feeds them fresh fruits and vegetables, and even hand feeds them when one is sick. You should see how crazy the chickens get when they hear her coming. Bayhan and her late husband have invested time, resources, and handyman skills to give the elementary school chickens the best life. Sadly, her husband John passed away on March 18th. During his battle with cancer, John still came and helped with the chickens, even buried the hen Francesca, and built mobile nesting boxes for injured, sick and even bullied chickens. Today, Behan says that the chickens help her deal with the stress before and the grieving now. The Board of Education salutes Ms. Springborn for her extraordinary level of dedication. Give her a round of applause.
Do you want one with your family?
Yes, bring them all up. Come on up, come on.
All your supporters here.
They are the neighbors right across from garden. They see me all in the rain, in the snow. I have really good friends.
Amazing. Next, our Community Partner Award is being presented to Mike O'Brien of Community America Credit Union. The Maplewood Richmond Heights Board of Education is proud to present the Community Partner Award to Community America Credit Union. I'm going to say the word community 1,000 times in this. In recognition of their outstanding partnership, unwavering support, and meaningful contributions to public education, and Community America has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to MRH by expanding access to resources, promoting financial literacy, and enriching the overall experience of our students and staff. Their sponsorship of recognition programs, including our Support Staff Member of the Year and Teacher of the Year awards, has elevated these important celebrations with generous donations and memorable gifts, including the coveted green seats at the St. Louis Cardinals. But their impact goes far beyond awards. Community America has invested in the long-term growth of our staff by providing valuable financial literacy resources and actually showed up on all of our professional development days to provide opportunities, empowering our educators with knowledge and tools that extend well beyond the classroom. We also want to recognize the dedicated efforts of Mike O'Brien, Business Development Director at Community America Credit Union. Mike has been a driving force behind this partnership. He served faithfully on our district recognition committee, reviewing nominations, scoring packets, and celebrating honorees with our Toot Toot MRH Prize Patrol. Whether it's connecting us to important resources or simply dropping off cookies with a heartfelt thank you, Mike embodies what true partnership looks like. On behalf of the Maplewood Richmond Heights Board of Education, we are proud to present the Community Partner Award to Community America Credit Union in recognition of your exceptional support, collaboration, and commitment to public education. Thank you. All right, and our last one, I'm going to read a recognition from Miss Jenny Schmidt to celebrate our mock trial team. Ms. Schmidt says, "I'm disappointed that I can't be there tonight to deliver this myself, but Trent has kindly agreed to deliver this message and he handed it to me. It was great. I want to start by saying that I'm absolutely amazed by each and every one of you on the mock trial. You all just competed at a level that most people in their lives never will. You had a few short weeks to prepare a whole new case, to review and understand the materials, to develop a case theory, to come up with witness personas, and then learn and remember it all while balancing school, sports, job, AP testing, and other extracurriculars and more. That alone is a feat. But to watch you show up on the national stage and perform was spectacular. You were cool under pressure. You learned and grew not only individually, but as a team. You lifted each other up and supported one another. However, what struck me most was the way you embraced the experience and enjoyed yourselves. You showed up to compete, which you did, and you competed well, but you also found joy and laughter in the experience. That is a gift that I'm not sure many of the kids there had. You are smart and talented, but honestly, that isn't worth much if you don't find joy in the things you do. Please take that willingness to embrace the fun and not take yourselves too seriously with you in the world, because it will make your lives fuller than you could ever imagine. It was a gift to witness your growth, your talent, and your joy. I am forever grateful that you will all let me be a part of it, and I cannot wait to see the further impact you have on the world. Sincerely, Jenny Schmidt.
Once again to all of our community partners and our Community Recognition Distinguished Awards from the board, and also to that debate team, the mock trial team. That's fantastic. So, all right, we're moving on to public forum. We have one person signed up, Rich McCollum.
Good evening. I'm Rich McCollum. I'm the Vice President of the MRH MNEA. I'm also a teacher at the high school and a coach of the debate and mock trial teams. Tonight, I speak in my capacity as an MRH NEA officer. The right to organize, bargain, and make decisions independent of our teaching roles is critical to a functioning labor union. There are actions that we perform outside our contracted time with the district. MRH NEA representatives, including our executive committee and officers, are uncompensated volunteers for the local. We take these responsibilities because we are committed to MRH and its future. We love this place. Many of the recent improvements in school climate, culture, and working conditions are a direct result of teachers coming together as a union and negotiating with the district. The vast majority of teachers are union members. When the MRH NEA officers speak, we speak on behalf of our members. In our day jobs, we are teachers, counselors, social workers who interact with the community's children. We are entrusted to educate students, and we're evaluated on our ability to do that job. We encourage the board and the administration to be mindful of this separation. Our union activities are protected by both contract and law. While disagreements may occur, it is important that our distinct roles are respected and the line between them is not blurred. The MRH NEA is a legally recognized union. It is not an employee of the district. MRH NEA members are here tonight to remind the board that we have been a staunch advocate for transparency and openness as we work to improve MRH, both as a center for learning and as a workplace. With the members' mandate, we remain committed to our work on those goals and trust that the board will protect our right to do so. Thank you.
To consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, we move on to the Howell report.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. My name is Avon Kriya. I'm a member of the Principal Advisory Leadership Board, and I'm here today to represent our committee. So today, instead of the usual, which is we usually start with an ask, we're going to actually start instead with, instead, in general, we're going to do a little bit of a review of our year as PALB. So, PALB works with the whole district, and we pursue a lot of ideas. But this year, the 2024-25 year, we focused on a lot of different things. So in October, we looked into replacing furniture throughout the high school after feedback regarding furniture condition. So a lot of chairs were broken, a lot were falling apart. You know, students were coming to us like, oh no, I got poked by the chair, or oh no, I fell off my chair, you know, that kind of stuff. So we looked into that, and we now have replaced a lot of chairs, and we have installed new seating in the gym lobby. So when kids come in for the morning, or you know, when they're just kind of hanging around, they have these nice little interesting-looking chairs that they can sit on. November and December was dedicated to our school metaphors and how they act alongside our curriculum. We looked at each individual school's metaphor, and we looked into, you know, how does each building deploy that metaphor into their curriculum, like which schools are engaging with it more than others. In February, we decided to research the possibility of installing an athletic trainer at the MRH High School. We spoke with students and staff throughout the building, and basically it helped us realize what we needed at our school and helped us increase awareness of the need for an athletic trainer at MRH. We realized there was a lot of liabilities surrounding sports with high schoolers, and that we kind of just wanted to promote the, you know, just that it is important. March was spent exploring opportunities in relation to extracurriculars, specifically the possibility of creating MRH-related sports in the middle school, but alongside youth sports. So a lot of students, so we have a good amount that leave MRH every year, and in that transition from middle school to high school, that end up going to other schools because they, you know, want to find more opportunities. And one of that is that we don't have super engaging sports in the middle school, and we want to expand that and kind of give them the opportunity they would in high school to help grab them before they decide to leave. As well, we also looked into a partnership between the ECC and high school in relation to after-school clubs, looking into more clubs for ECC kids after school, maybe run by high school students who are interested in internship, future teaching careers, to bridge that gap between the two schools. You know, we're right across the street, and to also give the ECC kids a lot more to do, and the high schoolers just to give them that learning experience. You could go, actually, you could, yeah. So that's kind of just a little summary of what we did. Our biggest accomplishment, over the span of the whole year, each PAL member joined a mock group, which basically helped communicate and advocate for MRH students across the district. And we represented them on how to better improve our district, and we communicated with the board members as well as the community that were a part of those mock groups. So each student was a part of one, and each came back and reported on it and helped further, you know, our ideas. You can go to the next slide now. So our biggest accomplishment this year was the fireside chat, which was an allotted time that which was allotted to discussing the B&E propositions, which were passed. Yay. Big round of applause for that. And allowed for the district to get to know our two Board of Education candidates, Dr. Matz and Dr. Francois, which are both on our board. And that was related to the first event we did last year as our first year of PALB, and we wanted to bring it over to this year, give our community a chance to get to know our members as well as what's going on in our district. You can go to the next slide. So our future for PALB, we're looking into pursuing more tangible ideas and asks that can be implemented into the coming future, reevaluating PALB's jurisdiction, as well as review of PALB protocols and an update kind of in mind. So a little bit of an audit of PALB, if you wanted to call it that. But that is what we hope to further next year. I personally will not be here, as well as many other students, but we hope that we can keep seeing PALB working with the board, as well as creating new ideas and opportunities for our district. So from all of us, at PALB, we kind of just want to give a gigantic thank you to the board and everyone who, has helped us this second year of PALB. So on behalf of Maya Trumpert, Odessa Javier, Avon Crea, Serenity Brown, Aaron Martin, Joseph Lynn, Noe Zamora, Enzo Gilbonio, Chance Terelms, and Vera Pantias, we would like to extend a big thank you. And we hope that we can continue working with you in the future. Thank you.
Well, definitely from the board, we extend a thank you back, because that's quite the laundry list of activities on top of, we know, all the other activities that these students do. So they're definitely overcommitted, but doing wonderful, wonderful things. So thank you so much for all of that. All right. We'll move on to our study items. First up is the board policy KBEA, Dr. Chris McGee.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to bring for study policy KBEA. This is a new policy that we have drafted to provide for us some guidance on individuals completing their educational research, most likely associated with a master's or doctorate degree. We currently don't have any written policies or procedures around this, and this is our attempt to codify some of that experience for our workforce. Are there any questions I might be able to answer for you?
Have we seen requests of this nature coming in previously? Is there?
Yeah, there's usually, I can't speak to all the tuition reimbursement requests, but I will say that, there's usually 3 to 4 per semester that show up on my doorstep that, I vet along with the rest of my team to make sure that we are aware of what research is being done and that will benefit us. And what we're looking to develop is create a consistent procedure for that to happen for every staff member. For example, right now, most teachers don't know that they should email me and let me know about that. So this is our first step.
Although this says by outside entities, I mean, if a teacher in the district is participating in a master's or doctorate program where they would be doing research, does that fall under this?
It does, because the outside entity would be the Institute of Higher Education that they're partnering with to complete that as a part of their certification.
Dr. McGee, I'm recalling in past meetings, although I didn't take the chance to go back and look, but that we have approved some prior research proposals. Now, this policy just says the superintendent or designee can grant approval. Is that meaning that you don't think it will need to come to, these are things that wouldn't rise to board level? Or?
Yeah, it all depends on the nature of the MOU and that relationship with that outside entity. I will also note that, our nonprofit in nature, I think in previous ones, we may have looked at something where there might have been a financial benefit or with a for-profit entity. So I think that those are things that would still cross your threshold.
Thank you.
I guess my understanding of this is the grant cycle that might be associated with getting higher education isn't necessarily going to fall within our meeting schedule, so this is to sort of streamline that process.
That would be separate from grants. We definitely need to bring something like this to you along with the approval to annually apply for grants. But this is separate, really just focusing on Institute of Higher Education or potential partnerships that we would develop that we were doing research.
In the line on do not detract from your primary mission, do we loop in, could we add, looping in building principles and others into the approval process of this?
So that would come in the administrative procedure, and I've already drafted that, and then when we started to roll that out, both Dr. Jameson and I said, pause, we need to take a step back and make sure that we have the appropriate policy that supports that procedure. So we are working on making sure that we know that building principals are involved and all the appropriate entities are included. But that would fall on an administrative procedure.
Great, thank you.
So along those lines, so this would make it voluntary for teachers to participate because they're not going to be compensated by the research organization or?
That is separate. I mean, this is specifically thinking about a teacher.
It would be an administrative policy wrapped around this. Is what you're saying.
Say that again?
It would be an administrative policy wrapped around this.
No. Incorrect. So the scenario in the past where teachers were compensated for participating in a research by a for-profit entity, that would be something that would come for you as a part of an MOU that is separate from this.
No, I guess I'm not making myself clear. So it do not detract from the district's primary mission of instruction and our nonprofit. So it's the primary mission of instruction. That's where teachers are involved. Are we conscripting teachers into research, or is it on a voluntary basis?
So it's, that's a great question, Trent. It's for teachers who are submitting for their own personal research. So just recently we had 2 teachers to submit to do their research in the district. So they are in school either working on a doctorate, and they've identified a topic and would like to utilize the district as their place for research.
I thought it was also for research of just any kind that was going on in the district, not just people who are students within the district.
So it's more like surveys. So for example, I get emails for surveys from other districts to have teachers to participate. Same thing. So those are the 2 avenues for that.
Any other questions?
Just one wordsmithing issue. On the first bullet point, at the end of the line, could you insert the word to between the words or and the?
We'll move on to the next study item. So it's the bond project contracts by Dr. Dietrich. He's ready.
Everybody loves exposed ceilings until it starts raining. It used to be a sleep center, right? So everybody loves. Sorry, I'm connecting a little bit slow right now. Thank you for having me tonight, Board. We have 3 contract proposals that we're going to discuss this evening. The first one is the building envelope proposal. That is the proposal coming to you. So this summer and into early fall, we are looking at our parking lots. We're looking at concrete work. We're looking at our roofs. We're looking at tuck pointing. So we will jump into that by campus. So I know this is what all the teachers are here for this evening, to see what we're looking at on their campuses. So at the ECC, they know when it rains, this is the primary places where we are having leaks. So there is a large portion of that campus that is being addressed for the roofs. And just as a precursor, once we have these roofs complete, we are in a really, really good position district-wide as far as where we're sitting. So this is at the ECC. Will be almost completely updated. Our parking lot at the ECC, one of the big concerns there, you'll see like a green line on the north side, as we have the car wash at Volvo. When they have their car wash running, we get a lot of water over onto our parking lot. We're actually also installing a curb there that will keep that water so that we're not running into the same issues that we're running in now with the rapid deterioration of that parking lot. So that will, all of this will begin in late June, early July. And then one of the constant concerns that I get is that ECC wall. There's a lot of rocks that are falling out of that, or stonework that's falling out of that. Not only that, but there's also, when they tuck pointed it years ago, there's this beautiful architectural tuck pointing that they have. that the kids look at it and go, oh, that's amazing climbing holds. We're taking that off. So the kids will not be able just to climb right up that wall, and the teachers won't be sitting there going, please get down the wall. Please. I see smiles from ECC teachers right now. But there's a little over 100 blocks that actually have to be replaced off of that wall. That was actually one of the large portions of, I know that part of the emails that I received was the increase in this building envelope proposal. We did not expect that wall price to climb that high, and a large portion of that was the number of stones that we actually have to replace in that. Another increase on that is on the ECC park or ECC playground right off the deck. Honestly, we just missed it in our walkthroughs. There's a lot of tripping hazard in that concrete, the aggregate concrete along that where the small benches are. All of that concrete is coming out this summer, and there's new concrete going into that area. There's a lot of trip hazards in that area. Moving to the elementary campus where you see that green, there's a lot of trip hazards there. There we'll be just doing an infill, caulking and resealing. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Just raise your hand if you can't hear me and I'll try to talk louder. Where those red blocks are, that's an increase there. We originally thought that sidewalk belonged to the city. It does not. We met with the city. That belongs to us. That was a considerable increase there. And then the elementary parking lot, which was one of the more expensive. When we redid that parking lot years ago, we ran the drainage directly onto the parking lot. We want to make sure that we're not in the same position in 5-10 years with replacing it again. So that whole parking lot is coming out. Summer school's out on Friday. They're coming in on Monday, knocking out that parking lot, putting in all new drainage so that we're not in the same position. Middle school, high school. We're in really good shape on that campus with our roofs. There's one roof over the middle school where we continue to get some leaks, so that'll be replaced. The front steps of the high school that lead out to the track are deteriorating pretty bad. Those we'll come in, we'll grind those down, we'll come in with an epoxy finish. It'll have a 20-year finish on it where we can throw as much salt on those as we want. We're still not going to do that. But it'll have a surface that'll be much safer for our staff and our students coming in and out of the building. Those steps on the right, you can see where they've deteriorated. Those are coming out of our back of our gymnasium. Same thing, we'll epoxy those. The green box to the top, there's an awning there that might be from like 1929 when we built that area. That's being replaced. More middle school, high school. The yellow is a sidewalk that is being replaced. The red line is a curb cut being replaced. The X's are areas where we realized that actually belongs to the city. So we've talked with Public Works there and said, hey, these are some areas that were cracked. There were actually two other areas that we were able to find some photos of our contractors parked on top of it, and they were broken. So we got our contractor to replace those so that we did not incur a cost for the district or the city. So we were happy to pass those costs on to the people that actually broke those. And then the picture up right, we own the parking lot that is in yellow on Martini. A lot of people don't realize we own that. That'll be replaced also in July. And then the pink box there. Sorry, was I the only one that just heard that? Okay. I don't know what that was. And then the pink box over there is the tuck pointing of our old weight room. So that is now being used by our maintenance department, but that is quickly deteriorating. We'll have to take care of that. So there was quite a bit of scope that we were, due to our facilities maintenance plan that we had, our facility scope that we had Corrigan Clark come in and do with Bureau Veritas. There was additional work that we added to that scope. There was very little we took out of it. One of those was the roof of this building. I based it off the number of service calls. As you can see, it's raining right now. It's not leaking. When we first took this building over, every time it rained, we were getting leaks in different areas. We've since secured this building. We're not getting leaks. We feel very confident in taking that off the list. Both our roofing vendor feels confident about that, Bureau Veritas feels confident about that. But we did see an increase in cost, but that was because we've added quite a bit of scope. Most of that was due to concrete work and tripping hazards that we were able to identify. So total cost summary this evening, we're at $1.1 million, some change. Questions for that proposal?
And Mike, one question. On page 16 of this bid, we're talking about Tremco bid, right? That's the one that's doing all this work.
Yeah, so Tremco is the manager that's helping us with it, yes.
Got it. Brick replacement, $79 each for a brick. Can you say how many bricks are we talking? Is that for that wall that you're talking about where you're having to patch some holes?
I don't have that in front of me. Is that for the stone wall? And I have Ray here with me too from that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. It didn't say. I mean, it's after the page on the elementary school, but this looks like a summary of the whole bid, so I wasn't sure what it was referring to.
There was, in another of the presentations, there's a picture of the brick wall and the window that they're going to fill in.
Yeah, that's also in this report.
There's brick replacement where they have to chip it out and put it in, so I think it's labor associated with.
Yeah, so and that window,
Cost, which is probably $1.
yeah, that window is actually the one in the high school gym that is on the west side that we've had several broken windows. So the process there is
Problems with pointing and brick walls.
right. So while we have the vendors on that wall, we're actually just removing that window, filling it with brick, and it'll actually match further on that west side where we've already filled in the other one. But our baseball team practices in there. We've had that window broken a couple times. In the long run, it just needs to be filled in.
I have one other question. Do they use union labor for this project?
So by policy, we have to do prevailing wage. In this case, it's being done by STAT, which is a union shop.
Thank you.
Actually, in this project here, all of the shops that were here today were union shops.
Yeah, I did look up the others. I found that out. I just couldn't find out about this particular
Yeah,
one.
it's STAT, and they are union.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Track and field proposal. People ask me the one I'm excited about the most. This would be it. So we would be working with Vernon Jones. They are a local company. They've been excellent to work with. This is the most recent photo and site plan, or I would say it's a rendering, right? Because we continue to take some feedback. We've adjusted it even a little bit in the last 2 days as I continue to get feedback from the track coaches. Any changes we make up until this point are only going to provide allowances to us. So for example, that javelin run became, I think, 12 feet shorter today. So that's going to provide us with a little bit more allowance as we move into this project. It's not significant, but there will be a little bit more allowance into that project. But it allowed us to keep the soccer field a little bit longer than what we anticipated. But no giant scope changes from when I spoke with the board resource. But it'll maintain 6 lanes. We will maintain a natural grass field, which we're very excited about. We'll be one of the first fields in the area. One of our struggles is as girls' season opens, we don't have that opportunity to get those goalie boxes in that center of the field in shape in time for our girls' soccer. This will have the cis grass in both boxes and the center, so it will be in shape and ready for the girls when they start season. The other addition, we did have a $15,000 or $14,500 allowance for, there will be a small putting green off to the right. So currently our golf team travels daily over to Kirkwood to practice. The other thing about it is I did meet with all 4 PE teachers on site. It does fit into our PE curriculum. It fits into their lifetime fitness and also into their, they have unit for Target, where they do disc golf. I should know that. I play all the time. So they'll have that. So it does fit into there, but it also gives, if you think about a lot of the updates that we've given to our facilities over the years, that's one of the few teams that we've given something on campus where they can practice. But it also, because that's a very small team, and I've had conversations with Dixon about this, but it also does impact our curriculum as well. And then I know one of the things that middle school and high school students were excited about was the addition of the small basketball area that they can play at before school, after school, and also during energy release. And that was a move. We shifted that off the field, and that was through collaboration with the track coaches, the middle school, the high school. We had some very productive meetings and collaboration on that. This did come in over what was on the Prop B budget, but I do want to be clear that this also includes that number, some site improvements that we were not expecting, as far as like on the peripheral of the track, some drainage to make sure that we're keeping things away from the track, and it also included some additional things like under the bleachers where we continue to have some mud wash coming out, so it included that. And then there were some things like I didn't know that we were trying to add javelin, and that was a significant increase too to the budget. But everything we did is going to provide us with a facility that is going to allow us to host district championships and even potentially sectional championships. Questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. The basketball, that's new. I don't remember that coming up before. I think it's a great idea. I live in Richmond Heights, so not Maplewood, but is it the case that this would be the only basketball court available to the public in Maplewood?
Speaking, I was on the board of Parks and Rec for Maplewood before I joined this board. And yeah, I can say yes to that. We actually did a survey of all the parks in Maplewood to see where we could put a basketball court at the time. Yeah. And because we were looking to do that as part of our initiative for a 5-year plan or 10-year plan. And it was found out that, besides the schools, there is no other place for kids to play basketball. So this would be one of the few, and it would be actually, I think, a great addition.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Actually, maybe the right person asked. Should we talk to Parks and Rec about contributing to a portion of this cost, since we're providing a public good here?
I can say that's a volunteer group, and so probably.
Well, I would like us to have.
This city.
Yeah, I would like us to have a conversation at least to see what can be done there, even if it's ongoing maintenance, or maintaining the goal, the post. The surface, restriping, things like that.
So I actually meet monthly with both city managers from Maplewood and Richmond Heights, and we are having conversation in regard to how we can partner better. So thank you for that suggestion.
Because the basketball court added $80,000 to the price. Is that right?
I think it was 64, but that was actually when we first started the planning for this project. That was one of the first things that the middle school kids. I met with a small high school group and a small middle school group, and that was one of the first things that they were mentioning was a place that because if you go to any other middle school, they have a place designated that they go to after lunch, and we don't have that. So that was something that they wanted, a multi-surface area where they could go. So now, they do little basketball games or they play football, but they don't have a designated thing where they can do that.
The other issue, it mentions in the bid that the track, the pricing for striping the lanes does not include pricing for the hash marks. They said that's an additional expense. So did they told you, I assume we'll need the hash marks eventually for track, for the use by the track team. How much, so we can't go without the hash marks, right?
Yeah. That's a great eye. I didn't catch that one.
Okay.
So I can touch base with Matt tomorrow on that.
Yeah, let's find out how much extra that's going to be, because I assume that's a necessity.
Yeah. Well, and I don't mind also just asking for that. So
Yeah.
when you're spending $1.1 million,
Right.
the worst
They-
somebody
they
can
could
do
throw
is,
in a few hash
I always say the worst somebody can do is say no. Right?
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
One last one, the putting green area.
And if they're
that-
watching, they're going to know that I just said that.
Yeah,
That's
good.
okay.
Yes, please provide that wherever you can. The putting green is an allowance, so at what point will you decide, and on what criteria would you decide whether that will end up getting added or will be dropped?
So really what the allowance means is that is not Vernon Jones' forte. So what I looked at was the average cost of building one about the size that we wanted. So we built in the allowance for the contract. So now what I can do is go out, talk with a couple different companies, see what that looks like, have them work with Vernon Jones, and if we can put that into that budget and figure that out, that way we're not coming back from a month from now and rushing into it. We can work that in under this contract and get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the putting green, I think you had told Trent and I in the for a resources meeting, this also involves nets for a driving area as well.
Right. Yes. So it would have a roughly 15 by 18 putting green, and then 2 mats off the side with 2 driving nets, so that the coach could have 2 kids driving, a couple kids putting. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the questions. Good. All right. All right. District camera proposal. So longtime partner, Tech Electronics. We had 3 companies who were interested in bidding this. We did go through, so I should back up. So in the track and field, we also went through TIPS, which is an interlocal co-op. We also went through that for the district camera proposal. So working through that, we're looking at replacing some of our cameras with new cameras. Some of them that we have are still of useful age, and I don't see any need to replace ones that are still useful. The other thing that this will do is it'll also help integrate that with our S2 system, which is our door access. So currently, if we get a call or a principal is investigating something and we have to figure out what's happening at a specific door, we have to sit there and just go through camera roll after camera roll. In this case, we could now log into our door access system, and anytime that door opened, it would give us a small video clip of that door access. So if we needed to respond to a situation and get quick, immediate information, this would allow that to do it, or allow us to do that. This is also very helpful on the weekends when I get those calls from our wonderful police departments in Maplewood and Richmond Heights and say, hey, you've got an open door on this building, and it's 11:30 at night. It's very quick for me to be able to pull up, look at those doors and say, hey, you know what, the wind blew it open. Or, hey, there's somebody that just walked into the building. This is what they're wearing. You can move in. Sorry. We did build a 10% contingency on this because we understand as we get into this, we may need to look at additional storage. We did our best in looking at the cameras to say, this is a hallway, so we probably don't want a 2 megapixel camera on this. We probably want an 8 megapixel because it's a longer throw. But we definitely want to be able, as we're looking at the situation and we build out the system, we are going to need a little bit of contingency. Our goal is not to spend that. In this case, we did come, I believe we're about $61,000 under budget on this proposal. I think a big reason for that is they knew there was several very competitive bidders in this process. But Tech Electronics is a longtime partner, and they brought a very competitive bid to the table. And definitely something that we consistently hear from our staff and especially administration for investigations and what's happening, that this is something that is needed.
Any questions for Dr. Dietrich on the last part?
Oh, sorry, I'll go to the slide. I was slow on that in the last one too, sorry.
Overall, I appreciate the detailed update. and acknowledge that most of the things that are happening with Prop B are going to be things that most people don't see or don't necessarily notice. I'm sure that the teachers at the elementary will notice when the parking lot doesn't ice over, next year in the winter, but the general public may not. Would it be possible going forward for, a more public-facing document to identify what projects are in process, how much has been completed? And I think we all recognize with the proposed bond projects list that the costs presented there were our best guesses at the time prior to a lot of other upheaval in the world that is certainly going to influence the pricing of these projects. So just hopeful that something like that could be shared going forward.
Yeah, and we're ready for that. We actually have a cash flow analysis that we've turned in for the bond, and we also have a 3-year schedule that we've built out that we feel really comfortable about. Navigate's helped us with that, and we feel really good about it. So we're ready to get that in front of you when you guys are ready for us.
Great.
So,
I just want to make sure that we
yes.
follow through with the community on what they've charged us to improve in the district. So
Yep.
thank you.
So we would help
No
Brentwood
question.
with the Brentwood, oh, right.
Yeah.
Just a thought on that you may want to explore. We helped Brentwood and GRG and a bunch of entities with Brentwood Bound Project. They actually created a little spot on their website where that information was put in and it was available, and it might be something you could do on your website to focus on the bond projects. I hope you don't mind.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and moving on to admin communications, speaking of bonds, we're going to go through the bond schedule and sale process.
This item will actually be presented by Lorenzo Boyd from Stifel. He might be in the hallway.
He said he was going to be outside.
Thanks, Rick.
You guys ready? So, good evening, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Boyd, Managing Director of Public Finance for Stifel. Is there a schedule that you have up, or just want me to talk about it?
There was nothing linked.
Okay, great. That's perfectly fine. So, first of all, I want to say congratulations on the passage of your bond issue back in April, the $15 million. As you know, the bond issue will be used for 2 different purposes: to refinance the school district's 2023 lease obligations that was originally issued for about $3 million. We're going to refinance about $2.6 million of those and put those into the debt service fund. So that'll leave you probably, after about premium, with a little over $13 million deposited to your project fund. So immediately right after you passed the bond election, we went into bond mode to actually start the transaction. So we started the transaction around April 16th. And I'm sorry, I brought Sean Flynn. He's going to say something real bad to me after we get in the car. I didn't introduce him properly, so he really likes his introductions. So Sean Flynn is with Gilmore and Bell. He's the bond counsel that prepares all the legal documents associated with the transaction. So back on April 16th, we really started the transaction, putting together all the related documents. Regarding the transaction, we've had probably 3 sets of documents that have went out in terms of bond documents and a preliminary official statement. Right there, yeah. And this week, we started the actual, I had a copy right here just in case. But this week, we started the rating call, and we had the due diligence call. So we had the rating call on Tuesday, where the district is assessed its underlying rating by Standard & Poor's. And so your underlying rating is kind of equivalent to, think about it as an individual credit score. So the lower your individual credit score and your personal finances, the higher your individual credit score, the lower interest rates you're going to receive. It's the same way with your underlying rating. So we went through that process this week to get an affirmation of the district's underlying rating. The district's underlying rating is right now AA minus. There are about a little over 520 school districts in the state of Missouri. There are approximately about 200 that are rated by Standard & Poor's. That AA minus is in the top 15 to 20% of all school districts in the state of Missouri. So that's a very great rating. We have great hopes and we have positive hopes that there will be an affirmation of that underlying rating of AA minus. Right now, that's only 2 notches below what we call a perfect rating. And there are only right now 3 school districts, believe it or not. One was just downgraded, that are rated AAA in the state of Missouri, and they all are located here on the St. Louis side. Rockwood, Parkway, and Clayton are all the only ones with the perfect AAA rating. So with that, we're looking to receive the bond rating back by Standard & Poor's by May 23rd with an affirmation of that underlying rating of AA minus. We plan on basically printing the POS. The POS stands for the Preliminary Official Statement. So that's really the document that Stifel uses to market the bonds to investors nationwide, both retail investors and institutional investors. We'll put that out on May 29th. We anticipate that gives us about a week to actually market that document and market the bond issue. But we'll probably have that on our internal feeds probably right around as soon as we receive the rating, right around 5/23. So you'll have probably about 2 weeks to market it to our internal feed at Stifel, to our salespeople. And then with that, we look to price the bonds on June 5th. Now you'll see 2 items there. Normally what we do when we come to the Maplewood Richmond High School District, we're pricing a transaction. But as you kind of know, since April, the market has been very volatile. So interest rates have been up and down significantly. They're right now on a steady pace. So we plan right now, if the market holds steady, we plan to price the issue and set final interest rates on June 5th. But if the market is really volatile and we see the market really raise significantly between now and June 5th, we'll pass a parameters resolution. I fully anticipate, now that something happens within the next 2 weeks, that we'll be pricing the issue and setting final interest rates at that point. But if the market goes back to its volatile nature that it's been in the past, I would say probably about 45 days, we'll pass a parameters resolution and wait for the market to calm down so that we can get favorable interest rates for the school district. If we were to price the transaction on 6/5, we would actually close the transaction on June 26th, and that is when the school district will receive its money, and that's when we will pay off the outstanding lease obligations from 2023, and then we anticipate having roughly about $13 million in project funds for the district to spend. You'll have 3 years to actually spend that money, the $13 million, and so from June of 2025 until June of 2028, there's a certification where you have to certify that you reasonably expect to spend all of those proceeds within the next 3 years. So I want to give you that timeline of where we are. We're pretty much in the meat of the schedule. Pretty much the heavy lifting is done from the district standpoint in terms of the rating process. Right now it's all on myself and the attorney to deliver quality pricings on June 5th, and I'm looking forward to pricing this transaction on June 5th, because if we go into a situation where we're looking at volatile rates, then we'll set what we call a target interest rate. So we'll come back and it'll be something as quick as, we don't want interest rates to reach a certain level, and once they get below that certain level, we have authority to price it on any given day. We've done that. So we've done that probably since the market volatility in every transaction probably. We've done so far with all the school districts. So hopefully now that the market settled down, we'll be full set to price on June 5th. And I'll open it up for any questions. And June 26th, that's when the money changes hands, and it's happy spending at that point.
And so we're going to go for all of the bonds.
Exactly right.
Now. And is there any reason that we might wait to do just in packets?
Well, there's market volatility. So you're
betting that this is the best time.
Yeah, exactly right. If the market stays steady, because right now we're seeing a steady market and a firm market. So what we saw probably in the first week of April, in a 10-day period, interest rates, it may not seem like a lot, interest rates went up about 70 basis points in about 10 days. In my world, that's a lot. That's almost unprecedented since the pandemic. So with that type of market volatility, with the market being steady right now, not knowing what's on hold in terms of economic news, we have a 90-day moratorium on tariffs right now. So it's no telling if we'd have rate in tranches, if we'd have do $4 million next year, if interest rates are 6%, it's a bad bet. But right now, if interest rates hold steady, we're looking at borrowing $15 million at 4.24%, which is much cheaper than you can buy a home mortgage these days.
Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, so what is the window for your strike price? You're basically, you have a window to act to sell the bonds, right?
Yeah, so we'll actually go into the market on 6/5. So
6/5, and then anytime after that? Or how
no,
many?
they'll sell all the, usually I have all the bonds sold, believe it or not, within about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
So so it's pretty quick once I get it out into the market and sell the bonds, and there'll be investors from California to New York, and then there'll be retail investors as well. So right now we're seeing a big interest in the retail markets, and just interest rates are a little bit higher than they were 3 years ago. Now what you see is retailers, individuals are back into the market, so we'll probably have some retail interest as well.
It's a new world for me.
What's that?
It's a new world for me. Selling bonds, maybe
Yeah.
buying.
To that point, Lorenzo, I know there it wasn't that long ago that we did a bond sale in 2020. I wonder if it might be possible for you to share just in advance what our documentation looked like. I mean, as I recall, there were many interested buyers that, and you kind of had explained to us at the time how we ended up getting the best rate that we did.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably go dig that up in board docs too, but it might be good to resurface just, what those documents look like that we will expect to see for current times.
Right.
When you
So,
come back.
so all the documents, so I'll kind of answer in two parts.
Yeah.
So with the 15 million, just to kind of go back to your question, we'll sell all those bonds. What we hope is to have, there will be an oversubscription, meaning we hope to have, let's say, 40 million of orders for 15 million of bonds. That's a good thing. So what we'll need to do is, at that point, obviously we have too many orders for the amount of bonds that we have for sale. So then we'll go back into the market and we'll start lowering interest rates. And so, for instance, someone that may have been interested at a 3.5%, if we lowered it to a 3.45, they may say, okay, I'm out.
So it's like an auction almost.
Exactly right. That's what makes it a perfect balance. And so we'll keep lowering those interest rates until we have. And we're okay with Stifel. We're a $1.8 billion in capital firm, or $4 billion in capital. We're okay if we only have 14 million of orders, because we want to hit that magic where we don't have too many orders for the amount of bonds that we have available, and we'll underwrite the remaining 1 million to our inventory. So we'll go through that process, keep lowering interest rate till we have the perfect balance. Once we have the perfect balance and get a final terms, we'll come back to the school district, have what we call a post-pricing call. They'll have the pre-pricing call, which will give them indicative interest rates or where we think the market's going to be. Once we set that tone and we go into the market an hour and a half later, I pretty much will have a good indication the orders that we do have, and then we'll come back around noon to have that final pricing call with the school district. And then at that point, we'll be there that evening to sign all the documents. Now, is that a regular board meeting or the 6-5?
6-5 is the budget workshop, so it's a
Special board meeting, so it'll be in person or virtual? Okay. So we'll be back here on June 5th. There will be a ton of documents for the board president and the secretary to sign. So that'll be, and I think there's one document for probably Chris to sign as well, which is an 8038, I believe it is, in terms of official IRS form. So there are a ton of documents. We'll probably be here about 10 minutes before the board meeting to get those documents pre-signed. And then at that point, we'll send those documents off to the state auditor to certify the bonds and to approve the bonds. And then we'll be ready for close on 6/26. That's why you see such a time lag between pricing and closing, because the attorney has to send all those documents to the state auditor's office. They have to sign off on all the documents, and once they sign off, then we'll be set to close. And usually giving them about 10 days to approve all those documents is sufficient for them to approve the bonds.
Thank you for the education.
Oh, no problem.
Any further questions? Look forward to seeing you back on 6/5.
See you guys on June 5th. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice rest of your day. Good night.
All right. Moving on, back to Dr. Dietrich for facility and grounds. Program evaluation.
Before I begin, I've already called Vernon Jones, and they are going to include the hash marks, just so you know.
Good question, Ryan. What else can we get?
There you go. All right. Program evaluation for operations department. So our key goals this year were to develop a robust data analysis system to facilitate informed decision making regarding facilities and budget allocation. Looks like something right out of our plan. Implement a consistent program of facility and tech infrastructure. So part of that is I actually meet weekly with our tech coordinator in the district, and to create and maintain a safe, inclusive, and sustainable learning environment that promotes physical and emotional well-being. So alignment with our strategic plan. Students, we want to make sure that we have clean, safe spaces that support learning and well-being. For our staff, we want reliable infrastructure that allows focus on instruction. Our resources, we want data-driven budgeting and responsible use of funds. And for our community, we want accessible, well-managed spaces that builds trust and engagement. So real quick, this is just a, so far this year, we've had 1,476 work orders come into the operations department. We've been able to close 899 of these. One thing I do want to say is that looks like a lot of open orders, and I'll go ahead and address that. We're new to the system. We're constantly going in looking for open work orders and finding ones that are open. There are also some that are in there that we just haven't been able to address because, you know, maybe it's concrete that's a trip hazard, right? We can't just go in and replace a slab of concrete. It could be that there's a heat pump that's out in between two working heat pumps. So that heat pump is down until we get our mechanical in and we're able to replace that. Some of them we just haven't went in and closed out, and that's a training piece that we need to make sure that we're addressing. So there's a multitude of reasons why they may not have been closed out, but a lot of it is due because it's a new program for us. District space rentals, we are constantly processing facility rentals. That being said, a lot of them do not generate funds for our district. A lot of them are our Boy Scouts, our Girl Scouts, our youth sports. While they may not be generating funds for our district, they definitely generate goodwill, and they generate amazing experiences for the youth in our schools. But this is just a list of people that rent our facilities or use our facilities on a daily basis. If you saw me leave about 45 minutes ago and sneak out the back door, it's because we had a group who couldn't get into one of the buildings, and I had to jump out real quick because one of our key cards wasn't working. But this is just a short list of people that use our building on a regular basis. Recommendations and next steps. We continue to evaluate need for operating funds. We just, as things are breaking, we're constantly moving money from fund to fund. Chris gets, I'm consistently going in saying, Chris, I need more money. Chris, I need more money. That is one thing that we want to do in August after we close the books, is really get an idea of what did it really take us in 24-25 to run the operations department. Because, we've budgeted for this year, but I can tell you what we've budgeted is not what we've spent. We continue to have things break and go back. And what I'd really like to do is have a good idea of what percentage it takes, square footage wise, to make sure that we're maintaining our campuses on a yearly basis. We continue to work with Navigate to define the district scope of our maintenance for long term. We continue to look at ways to increase routine maintenance to reduce delay in long-term capital or emergency expenditures. Part of that is training our staff. One thing we've been able to look at since I took over the department 3 years ago is our relationship with the Missouri plant managers. They offer, we talked about the TIPS interlocal agency. every time we spend money with tips, part of that percentage comes back to the Missouri School Plant Managers. They provide free trainings for staff. We take advantage of those trainings. So I'm sending my custodians, I'm sending my maintenance guys, and so that's something that we're doing so that we can cut our purchase service when we're sending people or we're bringing people in to do work that I want my people to be able to complete. And in 25-26, we'll track the number of rentals. Right now, we just have a list of people that come in. We actually want to track the number of evenings and nights and hours that our facilities are being used. With the current system that we have now, we can do that. Sustainability and funding considerations. Final spending in August 24-25, I spoke about that. We continue to look for grant opportunities. We were meeting today about a $608,000 grant. We're really excited about it until some additional things came down today that may eliminate us from applying for that. We want to continue to take advantage of partnerships with TIPS and Sourcewell and Ed Plus. When I came into this position, we were part of one co-op. We're now part of 4 co-ops where we're shopping between co-ops and making sure we're getting the best deal possible as we're going out. And sharing resources with local agencies such as City of Maplewood. There's things where, you know, when we're seeding the field, we're not going to go buy a tractor because they allow us to use their tractor and their seeder. Timeline for implementation. We're again, evaluate the need for more operating funds in August 2025. Continued PD for staff is ongoing. Continued work with Navigate to define scope. Routine maintenance programs. Constantly looking at the training for our people. And then tracking the rentals by month and looking at it quarterly. Questions?
I just want to express my appreciation for the thoughtfulness that you've brought to the department, and especially the opportunities for training across all departments. The improvement in the culture in the operations department is really evident, and just extend my appreciation to your team for the work that they're doing in the district.
Thank you. They're really good people, and they deserve to be taken care of. I enjoy it.
There's no other questions. We can move on to the safety and security program evaluation.
All right, safety and security. So the goal to establish and maintain a comprehensive and proactive safety framework. The strategy, we want to implement and uphold best practices for school safety and security measures to ensure well-being of students, staff, and visitors. We're excited with the passing of Prop B because that'll allow us to do even more work around this. So we want to prioritize best practices in safety, integrate safety into long-term planning, and have a commitment to continuous improvement through data-driven decision-making. So it starts with data. So we looked at the culture survey. I want to shout out Vince Estrada. He was great at sitting down with me and looking at the data and helping me pick out those questions that really pertain to safety and security in the district. So the first question was, I feel safe at school. Overall, the data really shows a strong improvement across the entire district for both students and staff. There were very few things that we looked at that were like, okay, maybe that's something that we really got to have a conversation on. But looking, this is our staff data. Across the board, we had improvements as far as I feel safe at school between 2024 and 2025. I don't want to read this to you, but I'll just leave it up.
I really appreciate your inclusion of the data, and
Yes.
can we,
Yes.
we can all read it?
Yes.
And move to the
Yes.
recommendations potentially?
Yeah. You may jump straight to it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Strengths and challenges. What's working well? What's worked really well is identifying people in each building to take the lead. So Dr. Ricker, Hartnett, and Davenport. Also working with local first responders. We had a meeting in this very room about 2 weeks ago with first responders from both cities, looking at wayfinding and emergency signage, talking about a distributed antenna system and just ways we can improve safety across the district. The MOU with Maplewood Police for our school resource officer. Current barriers and areas of growth. We've had mixed results with Raptor Technologies alert system. There's definitely some areas of growth with Raptor. One of our concerns is it is a very small percentage, but we do have some staff who have not committed to having Raptor on their phones. We do not provide phones to them, so I understand them not wanting to have that on their phone, but it is a concern as far as making sure that we are able to notify everybody if there is an emergency in the district. Another thing that we are trying to address is just our master key system and making sure we are trying to go as digital as possible and limiting the number of master keys that we have. And then visitor management, we have a very strong concern at our ECC and our elementary with them wanting visitor management system. We have a meeting next Wednesday with another company that's coming in that is actually more budget friendly, and I think it's more robust than the one that we've already looked at. So we're excited about seeing that next Wednesday. And again, there's very little allocation of funds towards safety and security in our operating budget. It's just something we need to look at. Recommendations and next steps. Standardized emergency operations planning. We continue to do that. We continue to strengthen safety training, enhance building access protocols, incorporate safety into capital planning. You can expect next month, or this month you saw that with cameras. Next month you'll see a proposal for a distributed antenna system at our high school. We have a lot of dead areas. The sustainability and funding, Prop B, thank you community. And then MRH will continue to apply for grants as they are available and ones that we actually qualify for. And then cost sharing with City of Maplewood. And then timeline, we expect the cameras to be up and running. I really expect them to be up prior to school running, but I added a little bit of a cushion there just in case, because you never know with supplies, with technology right now. Visitor management is under review, but I don't see, so long as everything goes the way we're planning, there should be no reason why we do not have that for next school year as well. And we continue to standardize our emergency operations planning.
Can you say more about the visitor management system and what exactly you're looking at with software?
Yeah, so walk into the building, much like you would in like a government center. You turn over your ID, it scans it. You know, one of my fears, if this was 10, 15 years ago, it was looking for any warrant you might have. And to be honest, I would consider that an equity concern. Now it is looking for specific things like, you know, crimes against children, things like that. So it would quietly alert. So if somebody walked into the building, they were not somebody that needed to be in the building, there was an active restraining order that was in our school information system, it would quietly send a text message to a small group of administrators, alert them. I would probably be on that list, our school resource officer. It would alert, we would be able to respond to the office. Hey, could you step over here so we can talk to you real quick, have that conversation, ask them to exit the building. So it really just gives us an opportunity to manage who is in and who is out of the building.
So this is some kind of system where you like scan your license or something at the door before the doors would open?
It would be...
Or once you're at the desk?
When you're at the desk, yes.
Administrative staff.
Yeah. So there have been schools that they set them up in a kiosk, and we're actually set up well to do that if we wanted to, based on the way we have our building set up with the additional Sally port outside of our offices.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Geek. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to finance. Chris.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll review activity year to date through April. Oh, I guess I gotta present it too. see if I can take this over from Dr. Dietrich. All right. This is a distribution of our revenue by source. You can see here almost 79% of our revenue on the operating side is related to local sources. Through April, we're at 25.1 million collected, right around 87%, increased just under 8% from the prior year. This week we did get the remaining protested tax receipts. We had about 3.2 hanging out there. We got just a little over 3.1. So it's actually pretty good, but that is a signal that there's probably going to be some lost revenue out there or delinquent taxes either way that we'll be collecting in subsequent years. So always excited to see that big deposit, and we thank the county for getting that processed very quickly. So on the expenditure side, 76% of our expenses are devoted to employee salaries and benefits, and when we review the budget in just a few minutes, you'll see that that number for the next fiscal year will climb to about 79%, which is a signal that we've prioritized salaries and benefits for our employees and are making great strides in that regard. So through April, we are at 16.1 expended. Teachers have 6 payrolls remaining. So I was actually, before the board meeting, reviewing the ledger. We are in great shape on both the salaries and the benefits side. So everything has been budgeted appropriately on both of those, and we'll have just a bit of surplus over there that we'll be able to reallocate or put back to balances. So on the supply side, purchase services side, we're right at 2.9 million, 73% of the budget. Last year at this time we were at 2.58. Supplies were at 1.7 or 72% versus prior year at 1.38 million. And again, those food service supplies, and we just got another curveball from DESE Child Nutrition Program or Food Nutrition Program. They want us to split out labor now from the purchase services, so that was an interesting little surprise that we got earlier in the week, so we took care of that already. Capital outlay, we're at $422,000, and that is higher than the prior year. Long and short-term debt, this is our COPS, or our private placement lease agreement that we'll be paying off here very soon, $283,915, and that is the exact number that we spent, so 100% of the budget. All that was done in March, the final payment for the fiscal year. Overall, we're at 21.406 million, and that is comparable to the prior year. Right now, we are budgeting at 33.9, just right at 34%. It's a bit early. We still have to do our final payment processing. I feel confident that we'll at least hit this target, maybe just a little bit higher. So I'll remain hopeful in that regard. But all in all, it's been a very good year on the budget side, and we've been tracking close to our targets all along. So I'm pleased to announce that.
Any questions? All right. Moving on to the budget presentation.
Okay. Lost it. Bear with me. Sorry about that. I must have closed the wrong window. Okay, this is the fourth presentation of the budget. A little bit has changed since the last time we talked about this. However, the property tax rates have not, so this is a repeat. Just to briefly review this, 50-cent transfer from the debt service levy. The rates will be here, so there's no changes here, and that 85 cents will be allocated to the debt service levy when we set the rates as we come into October. Property tax revenue, the general fund, we're estimating $22.14 million. I did reduce this. Senate Bill 190, or the senior citizen tax freeze. I did that calculation as I said that I would. This is a really conservative number. The truth of the matter is we just really don't have any idea. The county just is not set up in a way to predict what that's going to be. And the other unfortunate piece is we will get a report in November, which is after we set our rates. So I've set this target for the reduction pretty high, and hopeful that it won't be this high, but just in case, we're gonna go ahead and set the budget right here. If I get better information between now and when we lock the budget in, I'll certainly make those adjustments, but this seems reasonable based on the assessed value numbers that I've been reviewing over the past month. We'll put $397,610 over into capital projects, and that also has been reduced slightly due to that senior citizen property tax freeze. It's probably worth noting that after this tax season, once that report comes, we'll have a better idea year over year how to estimate this. So that'll be our baseline or benchmark. So that'll be a lot easier to calculate what these differences will be year over year, and also understanding that it will change year to year as seniors come and go in our neighborhoods. Debt service not being impacted by the senior citizen tax freeze will be right at $4.5 million. I went back and checked our state numbers just to make sure. There's been a lot of talk about reductions, and we're being warned in the CFO community to be conservative. I took that advice early. I went back and checked my numbers just to make sure, and I have lowered the thresholds from what the state's currently reporting the budget to be in 26, so I feel like these are pretty good numbers at this point. And we'll check them one or two more times before we have our budget workshop, and certainly before the end of June when you approve the final budget. Okay, federal funding. We are starting to get a clearer picture of how this will potentially shake out, so thank you, Dr. Bouchard, for providing this information to me. We're reducing $135,392 to that $817,000, a little north of that, due to anticipated funding reductions as follows. So flat funding to Title I. We primarily use Title I to fund our academic support positions in the areas of reading and math. Flat funding for IDEA. Funding for Title II and IV is unknown, therefore could be eliminated for fiscal 26 and beyond. So we're not quite all the way confident that these will disappear for the following year. These are relatively small compared to Title I, but every dollar is important to a district like ours. The refugee grant, 80% will be funded through, is currently in litigation, and those will remain funded until the courts decide on what the outcome will be there. The Afghan grant will remain for a second year, and we use these funds for translators. Funding expected in late May to the states for IDEA and Title I, and districts will be notified after. So again, I don't have these budget numbers directly for you because I just don't have them. So once I do get them, which looks like it'll be in the next couple of weeks, I will apply them to the budget if there is any change. So late June, early July for all the other non-categorical items like the Title II and IV. If they're going to be funded for 26, we'll get those allocations then. Here's the overall outcome. Total revenue across the operating budget is $33.463,353 million. And that is a $4.6 million increase from the prior year. Just a graphical look at the local revenue. And again, if I were to unhide some of my columns here, you would see a similar spike in local revenue in fiscal 16 when we did the last operating levy increase. Okay, on to the expenditure side. On the salaries, we're projected to be $1.45 million or 8.7%. This is a little bit higher. As I indicated last month, we have added the extra duties or the Object 6131 to the budget, so that did raise those slightly. And the increases are the 8% increase to the salary schedule for teachers along with that step. And then the 3.75% to our support staff salaries and wages along with their step, which is also at that 2.75. And then the board approved 3.75% increase to administrator salaries. And the increase to extra duties salary schedule per the CBA. And increases have been somewhat mitigated by some of the requesting staffing cuts and adjustments that the board has requested through the budgeting process. So we've got those included as well. On the benefit side, I have a little bit more to talk about than I did last month, but $307,000 or 5.4% increase over the prior year. They continue to track at or near 33% of our salaries, which is in line. So as you divide one number into the other, that gives us a good idea on how accurate our benefits are in comparison to our salaries, and we're just right there. Increases due to an 18% projected increase to medical insurance premiums. So here's where I'll pause and add a little bit of additional dialogue that was not available to me when I published this presentation. So yesterday, Wednesday, we had our CSD Insurance Trust Advisory Committee meeting. That is the meeting at which we usually receive our rates for the coming year. Instead of that, we received a ballot to vote on some pretty extensive changes to the plan design and structures for the coming year. I won't go through all those right now. We'll put that in the board note for you probably early next week so that you can see. We are projecting right now an 18.8% increase. So before, just take a breath here, I knew that there were some pretty significant changes coming. I just saw it in the finance presentations that they've been giving us for the last couple of years. When we met with them in December, and I started seeing those signals that I was anticipating actually come to fruition, I started increasing the budget line item to 20%. So I've been budgeting benefits increases at 20%, so this 18.8%, while I'm not pleased with it, the budget as it currently stands should hold it. And the significant increase here, we are in Tier 5, which is the highest tier with our loss or claims ratios as compared to premiums. They're adding a 5% contingency to our premium cost in order to replace lost revenue because the fund balances of the trust have dipped below an acceptable level, and they fear that without that additional influx of cash that they will not be able to meet their obligations. So as I've said before, the trust is in a bit of a bind at this point. It remains to be seen whether or not the trust will be able to continue much longer. Right now, it still is the best option for MRH given our tier placement and the cost of our claims. So I hate to bring bad news when we're doing the budgets, but this is one that we have to be very, very careful of and keep a very close eye on as we move through the fiscal year. I did talk to the managing director either yesterday or today. All the days run together now. But he happens to be a colleague and a friend of mine, so I gave him a call, and he said that yes, these struggles are absolutely real. It's not something that they're just reporting. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to remain in the trust and that we can move forward. But we have a committee meeting, benefits committee meeting with our NEA benefits committee next Tuesday or Wednesday. We're still trying to land on that date. I think it's going to be Wednesday, right? Yeah. So we'll talk about all those changes and we'll go from there. And as per the CBA, my duty is to report any potential changes to that committee, and they'll report to their leadership. So we'll be right by the CBA there. Okay, moving on. PSRS peers, which those will track with our increases to the medical benefits and salaries as well, as noted here in this sub-bullet under the second. Okay, so I believe this is pretty much the same, but I was just informed today that I may have overfunctioned, and there is one more tech support specialist. There's actually two of these. So I had reduced it, but there should be two here. So that net reduction is going to not be that large. So when I present this budget next time, as we come into the workshop, I'll have adjusted this number. Oh, yeah, and the IT manager, that RFQ is out on the streets right now. Dr. McGee's already gotten some responses and some inquiries. We were careful to include a very detailed appendix with how our infrastructure is put together and what it's comprised of. So I'm hopeful that will allow us to get some proposals that will be able to actually support the infrastructure that we have in place without having to overhaul too much. So overall, purchase services are budgeted at $3.6 million, which is down $260,000, just a little over 6.5% over the prior year, and that is due to the Board of Education's request to reduce purchase services. Those initial savings have been slightly subdued here due to anticipated increases in utilities, specifically electric. So this is another one of those changes that I made since last month. We're getting signals that Ameren is looking to increase rates upwards of 10%. So I did make sure that we added a bit of a cushion for that. So if those rates go up as expected, the budget will be able to hold them. And we know also that MSD is going to experience increases as well. Professional development and improvement of instruction services, those are the two function codes here. Including educational consultants, we've reduced that a bit over $166,000. And we'll make any other reductions as we're coming through the end of the budget season here. Our budget workshop is on June 5th. I would imagine that we will probably have a couple of changes after that will be locked into the final budget that's currently set to be approved on June 26th. On to the supply side, we are budgeted at $2.45 million. That is up slightly at $108,000 or 4.6 from the prior year. As we've mentioned in prior months, reclassifying larger expenses. We also did the numbers on the age of our collections, so each of our building principals have increased library book purchase budgets, and student technology device purchases could be reduced with adoption of iPads K through 8. So we're still sorting through that, but if we were to make this change, it would be a net positive for us because they're cheaper than Chromebooks in the aggregate. So we're still looking at that, and if this becomes a reality, and I strongly believe as a former technology director that this is probably the best way to go, especially for these grade spans as they are it's more age appropriate, especially for our youngest learners. We will be able to reduce quite a bit from the supply side of the budget, and that will be a positive thing overall. And we'll continue to review and trim building and department budgets. I know Dr. McGee's made some adjustments even this week that aren't captured here in this presentation, but we'll get those loaded in as soon as we possibly can. On the capital outlay side, just under $100,000, which is down significantly over the prior year. And again, we're moving the majority of those projects over into the bond. Long and short-term capital debt will decrease to zero as we retire that private placement lease obligation. Capitalization threshold has adjusted, which is why supplies has increased slightly over the prior year, and also the subsequent decrease to the capital outlay. And I've already mentioned the bond projects. Okay, so this is a new slide in response to a board inquiry that we received yesterday afternoon. This is not new information. All the numbers that you see before you are numbers that I've just spoken to you in this presentation. This is just a summary slide to put together all of the reductions that we've been able to make thus far. So I think that was a great suggestion, so I decided to include it. Once I'm done presenting this, I will pull this slide out as a PDF and drop it into the board agenda for the record. I think we're doing pretty well. It's been a lot of hard work to get to where we're at right now on this level of reduction. I cannot recall in my 9 years of doing this work a reduction from the beginning to the end of the budget season of this magnitude. So kudos to all who've been involved and been participating in the war room activities down the hall. Okay, overall on the expenditure side of the operating budget, right at $30.3 million. That is the largest expenditure budget that I've dealt with in my career here. And that is $985,000 increase over the prior year, or 3.4%. And as I mentioned earlier, 79%, right around that 79% is where the aggregate of salaries and benefits will land. And I do strongly feel that that is a more appropriate place for salaries and benefits to be on the percentage-wise related to expenditures here. And again, it's a very strong signal to our commitment to make sure that we are offering competitive salaries and wages to our employees. This is the big picture right now. Due to those changes that I've mentioned earlier in the presentation, including the decreases in revenue and the decreases and other increases to the expenditure side, we're looking at a total expenditure budget of that $30.3 million, which will result in an ending fund balance of 43%. Understand that as we come to the close of 25 and into the summer, as we go through the ASBR, or the Annual Secretary of the Board Report, and our audit, that number will move as we start to reduce all of our budgets to actual. So as the fiscal 25 fund balance increases, also will the fiscal 26. So those two are directly linked, so these numbers will shift around a little bit. So just be prepared for a little bit different look of these numbers as we come through the end of the budget season and into the fall as you look at the first financial statements of the year. We still have a ton of work to do. We've already started working on the narratives, recrafting those to fit the new budget year and the goals, commitments, and promises that we've made. And we will have that ready for you in draft form for that June 5th budget workshop. We'll get that budget document out to you all as soon as we possibly can. I believe it's 137 pages now this year, and I'm not sure that we won't add another couple pages. I'd like to put some pictures in there, but we'll just see if we have time. And then we'll hit that budget workshop on the 5th, and any changes between then and the 26th will be made, and then you'll approve that final budget, and we'll lock it in, ready for the fiscal year to start on July 1. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now.
Yeah, I have a question. On slide 4, this is the state formula funding slide. The total there is 5.644 for FY26.
Okay.
And then on slide 6, the state revenue total there shows 4.14. Could you just help me understand what's going on between those two?
I include Prop C in this number here. Prop C is actually 5100 series, which is local, but since it's directly tied to the formula, I include it here. So that's why those numbers are different.
Okay. So do you expect the number to rise to the 5.6
for state funding formula? For the categories that you see before you, state formula and basic formula, classroom trust fund, and Prop C, yes, that's the number. But when we go to that slide 6, as you mentioned, that is the actual state funding that I expect.
Okay, got it.
We received that Prop C through DESI.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One other question, back on slide 3, the general fund 22.14 million from property tax revenue, and then going back again to slide 6, the 28.4 million local revenue. And I checked also last month it was, you had budgeted there 29,022, so about 6. So that number seems to be moving around quite a bit. And I'm just wondering, first of all, if you could help me understand the difference between that 22 million and the 28, and then what led you to lower the number from last month to this month?
It's actually on the slide here.
Okay.
Reduced due to the senior property tax freeze, so I pulled revenue out to account for that.
So that was that's the $600,000 from
Roughly,
last month
yes.
to this month.
Yes.
Okay. And
and
that's a lot. That's a high amount just
Yeah.
for senior property tax.
I'd rather shoot it that way than the other way.
Okay.
And again, it's as close as we can possibly get at this point. It's also worth mentioning that local taxes does not just include current taxes. It also includes delinquent taxes.
Sure.
Which is also another one of those things that we just have to sort of look at it and make an estimate based on prior years. This year, delinquent taxes are coming in way more than we had initially budgeted, and I've already increased it one time. So delinquent taxes are coming in strong, but I can't always anticipate where those will land. So as we're fine tuning, you will see these numbers move around.
And my last question is, do we have any TIFs that will come off
We actually
in the
have
next
one
year?
as our city manager. She's moved on to her other activities this evening, but we do have a TIF. It is the Hanley Road south of Folk TIF that they're doing the final stages of that, and I believe by the end of the month, she and I talked earlier this week or the end of last, that TIF will fall off. So that may fall into the new construction for this coming year. We'll see.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Other questions? Moving on. Moving to board communications and discussions. So we're up to calendar of events. It's May. There's a lot. Tomorrow, I know the ECC is having their farmers market. Definitely encourage everyone to go. I know I'll be there shopping. Taste of Maplewood is coming up this weekend for sure. We have a dunk tank. I hear there are several of our MRH colleagues who will be there. And I heard there is a $20 automatic dunk fee too. So if you are a bad aim and just want to make somebody wet, bring your money. I've heard that's going to be good. We got Memorial Day coming, field trips, school dances, you name it, and then graduation. I saw those signs go up on the fence out by the high school, so I know that's definitely coming up as well. So, any other additions that I missed? All right, board committee reports.
For our students committee met, our notes are attached to that agenda item, and I think the item of most significant note is that, as many will recall, we are part of the Success Ready Students project going on at the state level. We're part of a cohort with a number of districts across the state that are exploring some different ways to track the achievement of our students in our district. So we have spent quite a bit of time, as has Dr. McGee and the colleagues that he works with on the MOT that support the For Our Students Committee to develop a dashboard that will be going live later this summer. And so folks will be able to check that out. Deep appreciation for the 3 community members who have served very faithfully on that committee this year.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? And it looks like 4 resources met as well.
Yeah, we met. We submitted our written report to the board secretary and to the board maybe a week or so ago, but the public saw it tonight with Mike Dietrich's presentation.
Great.
I just have one other item as kind of our resident policy person. As folks know, hopefully the Missouri legislature concluded their work today. I'm not sure everything that impacted school districts that will probably all shake out very soon here, but one thing that I do want to note, especially since there's so many teachers in the room tonight, is that SB 68 passed, which will require all school districts to establish a no cell phone policy. And to that end, I would be very interested in having some community conversation about what that would look like in our district. I know we have not yet had the chance to really engage the folks in classrooms that will impact, but it is something that we are now being mandated to do as our legislature likes to usurp our local control. But hopefully we can do it in a way that makes sense for our community.
Great. Yeah, thank you for the call out. Yep. All right, we'll move into action items. So first up is board policy GCN.
Move to approve policy GCN, evaluation of professional staff as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? right. Number 2 is the evaluation of certified staff and instructional support staff.
Move to approve the evaluation of certified staff and instructional support staff as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Number 3, the bond projects and the WTI Tremco contract.
Move to approve the building envelope contract from Tremco as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We should have a chance for discussion.
Oh, sorry. Discussion, sorry.
No,
Okay,
I
my
don't have any
apologies.
discussion, but we have to pause
Sorry
for
about that.
discussion.
Yep, nope.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
First time. All right. I'm just buzzing through.
Yeah.
Did we get an all in favor?
Sorry.
Did you get it?
Did we get it? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Go to the number 4, the bond project, the track and field.
Move to approve the contract as presented for Byrne and Jones for the track and field.
Second.
All in favor? Or no? For discussion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'll get the hang of it eventually. By the end, right? All right, number 5, the camera proposal.
Move to approve the tech electronics contract for camera security upgrades and door access as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, number 6.
Motion to enter executive session in accordance with section 610.021, subsection 1, 3, 9, 13, and section 610.022 of the revised statutes of Missouri on May 15th, 2025 for the following reasons: legal matters, personnel matters.
Make a roll call vote.
Trent, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All right.